just different stories I was gonna tell along the way as I'm continuing to try to get the message out here through social media, in person. Trying to identify the lessons that really impacted me that are gonna potentially help shift or change somebody's path for the better, so they don't have to learn the hard lessons that I did. And recently, I had somebody, I'm just gonna say, do some wrong to me, and it had a pretty decent impact. Big enough impact that it went beyond me. It impacted my family, potential pathway to do some things, etc. And that's how I say that. But when I was thinking about that and trying to figure out what type of stories I was gonna do, tell, etc., I started thinking about when I ran into my co-defendant, man, the man that, or at least one of them that snitched on me, that went out his way to make sure that the police got me. Not just for something that I did, but for some stuff that I didn't. In short, I had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to go home without doing a night behind the wall. But what happened was I turned that down, and at that point, whatever my co-defendant said, that became law. That was the truth to the prosecutors, the judge, etc. And many of us, if you've been in the streets and you decided to take the righteous route, as they say, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everything that they say will be used against you in a court of law. And, I always tell people when I'm talking about my story, anytime I'm up here behind the lens, etc., I'm coming from a real place. I'm coming from a place where I want people to feel me in a way that when they run into something similar, they think about it. So I run into my co-defendant after about 4 years in prison, maybe 5 at the time. I had got in trouble early on in my prison sentence and got sent back to Sussex 2 the second time. That's a level 4 maximum security prison. On average, you got 18 hours in a cell, maybe 6 hours out if you're lucky. When I got up there the second time, I had some things going for me. Some of the guards knew me from the first time I was on the camp. A lot of the brothers knew me. I had good reputation. And I was able to, kind of get right back into the swing of things up there. And I remember I'm on the basketball court and I'm chilling, minding my business, watching the brothers that's in my pod, play ball or whatever, just trying to pass time, get through year whatever or the rest of the sentence. And I see my co-defendant walking down the boulevard. And it was crazy because that they had let the cafeteria doors open, and that's where they used to have programs, religious programs, etc. And I must have looked like 2 or 3 times because from what I knew, my co-defendant had put me on an enemy list. And what an enemy list is basically something that somebody fills out to make sure that if they got a problem with you or they feel like you're going to do something to them or whatever, you're not able to get to them. You're supposed to not be able to be on the same prison or institution as them. And whatever mishap, misstep, DOC, Department of Corrections did, we ended up on the same camp. And after the 3rd time, I knew it was him, looking at him. And I remember in that moment, I was angry, I was resentful, I was depressed, I was full of anxiety, and I felt at the time like it was all because of him. Like I felt like the reason I was in prison was because of him and my other co-defendants that started running their mouth. I didn't look at the fact that the whole reason I was in there was because I allowed myself to be involved with these people in the first place. But I remember telling myself, yo, if they open this gate while he's on the boulevard, I gotta have him. Because the reality of the situation is, I already had a piece of steel on me. I knew what time it was. It was the type of prison where you better be protected, strapped up. And at the same time, there was a part of me still in that moment. Yo, if I could get somebody, I was going to get them because I was still that angry. I was given 144 years behind a BB gun and a bunch of dudes that claimed they was gangster running their mouths. And I tell people when I'm telling my story and I'm traveling, you got to be careful what you whisper to the devil, man. There's power in your thoughts, your words, your deeds, your actions. And when I said to myself, maybe I whispered to the devil, if this gate opens, that's going to be my opportunity to get him, and I promise you I'm going to get him. Sure enough, here come the opportunity. There was a guard on the camp. He must have been a rookie or he was newer. He didn't know the procedure. The procedure and protocol is we should not be mixed with other dorms, pods, etc. on that camp because it was a level 4. And there was a reason everybody was housed the way that they were housed on that institution. But he opened up the gate and he started letting our dorm off, our pod, to go back to the building the same time they were walking by us. And I waited, and sure enough, he kept walking, just talking to his homeboys, having a good old time. And I waited till he walked past the entrance of the gate, and I walked out the gate, and I started to walk behind him. And I didn't put any thought to it, because at that point I was in motion. And before I knew it, I had a hand on his shoulder and a piece of steel in my hand. And I knew, the proper protocol and procedure when you want to take a man out. Yo, when he turn around, when I spin him, I'm going to gut him right here. That's it. This is my opportunity to make sure you don't go home, period. Because I'm not going home anytime soon. And there's no guarantee I make it through the rest of this bid. So let's just deal away with this thought and just go ahead, get you up out of here. And I know what I'm dealing with. And I'm going to keep rocking how I rock. But when I turned him, I seen the fear in his eyes. I seen desperation in the reality, like he seen a ghost. He didn't expect me to be on this camp. He thought he was protected because he filled out that paper that said I was an enemy. But at the same time, they dropped the ball, and that's what they do. And that's why sometimes people get hurt. And this was my opportunity to get him, but I chose not to. I did whisper to him, as low as I could without getting all the way up on him. I could have got you, because everybody seen what was going on, including his homeboys. And the crazy part about this situation is, here's this man that alley-ooped me to the prison system, right? And not only could I took his life, I didn't in that moment. And then because I had the decent type of respect that I did on that camp, I immediately told his homeboys, you know what, my bad, it ain't got nothing to do with y'all. I'm tripping. We gonna handle it some other time. And then I went out my way a few days later to say, it was behind a prison debt, which wasn't true. And I put myself at risk because now in my mind, I felt sorry for the dude. Because now that I knew he was on the camp with me, I started doing homework. He ain't got nothing. He got a hole in his shoes. You know what I'm saying? The ring in his shirt is dirty. You understand? Anybody that's done time, you don't have to live like that. And man, there was pity in my heart. And I realized, man, I had him mentally. And not only that, life was getting over on him. And even though I was locked up, I was all right. And, man, I could have put the wolves on him. I could have put a target on his back because this dude testified on me and his homies didn't know it. But I didn't because I'm not that way. And immediately, I guess it was remorse in my heart, whatever it was. And some people that see this, they going to be like, yo, bruh, sucker, I don't care. That's fine. Some people gonna be like, that's weak. You should have got him. No, I should have kept doing what I was doing and focused my eyes on the prize so I could be here telling this story right now. Not only did I make sure he didn't get harmed by his homies, I moved him in the block with me knowing I was getting ready to get transferred. And not only that, I got him a job. And I made sure he had food in his box. And I made sure he had shoes on his feet that didn't have holes in them. And before I left, I made sure he had the job that I had. And I'm telling this story briefly right now for really the reason of reminding myself that, man, people are going to try to destroy you. People are going to try to take you out. People are going to try to put dirt on your name. People are going to try to put every obstacle and snare and device in your way. And sometimes it's going to come from the people that are closest to you or people that you thought would never do it to you in 1,000 years. Sometimes you're not going to see it coming. But as a leader, when you know you're different, regardless to whom or what, you never match that energy. You keep going. You know, you remain so disciplined that your eyes are focused on the blessing, the prize, etc. And regardless to what's going on or whatever the enemy throws at you, say, fuck that. I'm focused on that. Because if I, at any time, fall victim to the trap, if I would have took his life, if I would have put dirt on his name, there would have been continuous issues, man. And most importantly, I wouldn't have been good with myself today. And that's the moral of the story, man. Don't do it for them. Do it for you. Regardless to what it is. Nobody has to be good with the decisions you make. Only you. Peace.